Man, I wish I had like a WWE belt or something that I could use for the thumbnail of this. Ah, whatever. Just do that. That's thumbnail. Fighting with my family. I didn't change of pace. I'm sitting down for this review because for some reason my ankle is just completely fucked right now and it hurts to stand. So change of pace. I'm sitting for this review. So Fighting with My Family is the true story of Saraya Knight, Paige from WWE. Fighting with My Family is pretty much her and her brother, and she comes from a whole family of wrestlers. Their life goal is to pretty much make it to the WWE, be the next WWE superstar. And then they both get a call from Vince Vaughn, who plays a coach, and they have a quick little tryout, but then Saraya makes the cut, but not her brother Zach, and it's pretty much just the story of Saraya, you know, trying to make her family proud. And just start off with like full disclosure, I know like jack shit about WWE. I have never watched a WWE match in my life. So knowing that, I'm not viewing this as a WWE fan, I'm viewing this as a fan of movies, and I'm just watching a family story unfold, and it's actually really touching. I really liked it. The strengths of this movie is the family dynamic. That dynamic between Saraya and her parents, Nick Frost and Lena Headey. Nick Frost is great in this movie. I feel like Nick Frost has always been like this comedic guy, but like he has some dramatic moments in this movie that I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just, he can be a dramatic actor sometimes. If you haven't seen Into the Badlands, I'm mainly referring to Season 2 and Season 3. It's really good. He's got some dramatic chops, but he's also comedic relief, and I think he does that in this movie well. Lena Headey was great as her mom, and also the dynamic between Saraya and her brother. Her brother Zach actually had like a whole arc in this movie that I actually really enjoyed. It would have been easy to just say, hey, this is the story of Paige from the WWE, this is her climb to stardom, and yeah, her family's kind of being pushed aside a little bit, is, you know, it's not their story, it's her story. But it really is about the family, and Zach has this whole thing where he doesn't get picked and he's bummed about it, and it's just kind of him having to come to terms with that. And I really liked his art. Some of the most emotional moments for me in the movie were from the brother, just sitting, just contemplating, just being sad. And also just the fact that I originally, like, this movie wasn't even on my radar. It was one of those movies that Dwayne Johnson was sharing constantly on his Instagram and his Twitter, and I just kind of brushed it aside. Then as I looked into it a bit more, I found out that it was directed by Stephen Merchant. I was kind of like, you know, I'm very curious to see what he does with this story, because Stephen Merchant, as an actor and just as a person that I've seen a couple interviews with, he's never struck me as this WWE guy. So he's probably going to tap more into the family element than anything else. But also the wrestling stuff is cool to watch too. Like when Paige is going through the things with the training and she's with Vince Vaughn, she's trying to find her place. She doesn't really belong. She goes to America. It's a real fish out of water situation. She really doesn't know anything about the culture. It's an entirely different culture than it is from a little town outside of London that they're from. If there are negatives to be had with this movie, I think Dwayne Johnson is in this movie just because, I mean, from what I've heard, he was a pretty like big part of how this movie got made to begin with. He was the one that pitched it to Paige. He was the one that said, hey, I think your story's really inspiring, I want to make a movie about it. But for the most part, whenever Dwayne Johnson's on screen, I feel like he's just kind of there because, I mean, you need a big WWE name to draw them in. And then if you look at it, the most famous former WWE superstar, the most well-known worldwide, is probably Dwayne Johnson. But I feel like for the most part, Dwayne Johnson's just kind of just strolling onto the set every few minutes, just kind of be like, when he shows up, it just kind of feels like he's shoehorned in there for the sake of having a big guy to sell the movie. Outside of that, though, I think this movie was really great. The family element of it, the whole underdog story with Paige, I think was really great. But it really was one of those, you know, one of those movies that you just walk out of, and just as soon as you walk out, you just kind of think for a second, that was nice. It was one of those movies, and I think that Fighting with My Family definitely is awesome-tastic. This is just a good weekend to go to the movies, I can tell you that much. So Fighting with My Family, I think you should see it, and if you have seen it, I want to know what you think about it. I don't really know about a lot of wrestling movies, so don't comment about, just comment about Fighting with Your Family. What do you think about Fighting with Your Family? Sound off in the comments, and if you guys like what you've seen, you can click right here, and I will see you guys next time. I'm still walking off even though my foot hurts. Oh, God, motherfucker.